Hello, welcome to the Keith Noble Show, brought to you by Auto Chicks and the Nobles Financial Network. So today we're going to talk about the Constitution. So you hear people talk a lot about social contract. Well, I've never seen a social contract. Nobody ever asked me to sign a social contract. I don't see any record of me or any of my ancestors signing a social contract. So that's kind of an absurd idea people use to rationalize away what they want over what you want. That being said, the closest thing we do have to a social contract in this country is the Constitution. Now, the Constitution was approved by states. It's a voluntary agreement that was made a long time ago. Now, some people say it's out of date. Interestingly enough, the people who say it's out of date omit the fact that it could be amended. In fact, it's been amended more than 24 times. They're free to go attempt to amend the Constitution, but they don't. You know why they don't? Because they don't have the support to do what they want. That's a simple reason why they don't amend the Constitution. Because amending the Constitution means other people have a voice, and they want to deprive other people of their voice. That's the whole intent in invading amending the Constitution. No, they'd rather try and convince people the Constitution is out of date, it's irrelevant, ignore it, etc. This has been going on really in earnest for about 88 years, 87 years now, ignoring the Constitution if it doesn't do what you want it to do. And the problem here with doing that is that the Constitution was put in place to limit government. The federal government has enumerated powers, what they can do, what they can't do. And people have said, well, that's a bad idea. We need government just to do this thing too, and that thing too, and this as well. And pretty soon, the enumerated powers have been all but ignored. Now, a good number of us are arguing that we should return the federal government to the enumerated powers, and if people want the government to do something aside from that, they should amend the Constitution. They should do the honorable thing, but as we talked about, honor is not their forte. Honor is not part of their world. So, what they want to do is have a majority decide for everyone, as though a majority somehow infers a moral authority that you can do things to the minority. That's their model. Well, that model was one the United States Constitution was intended to prohibit. But that's what they want to do. And in fact, just be honest, even if they didn't have a majority of votes, they would still try to find ways to inflict their will upon you. That's all this is. This is the most base ambitions of power. They can't play by the rules. So basically, they say the rules are stupid, we're ignoring them. I mean, that's their basic argument. Even though we all had agreed upon the rules. And if the rules need to change, there's a mechanism to do that. But as they know, they don't have the support to change the rules. So, they will argue we should just ignore them. They will argue the Constitution is racist, it's discriminatory, it's any number of things, any number of false claims they'll make. And as I've said before, we have an abhorrent education system. We don't teach facts. We don't teach the Constitution. We don't teach the history of the Constitution. We don't teach why these different things in the Constitution are there. We don't teach why we have amended it. We don't teach how our economy works. We don't teach how the government was intended to work. We don't teach how the government works today. We have a sea of people who are uninformed and grasping onto whatever they read on the internet as though it was true. And that's just a bad idea. That's just a bad thing. If that's not obvious, I don't know what is. So how do we remedy that? How do we remedy this? Well, speak the truth. Speak the truth about the Constitution. Speak the truth about what these people are trying to do. Speak the truth that the Constitution was not created as a racist document. Read Frederick Douglass to these people. I mean, there's a fictional history here being generated of the United States in order to justify a particular ideology that is not justified. Now, in certain realm, that would be considered fraud. To proclaim things that are false in order to get you to take an action or adopt a belief that is unwarranted. Yet, that's the model here. And that has been the Marxist, socialist, progressive, Nazi, fascist model for 150 years, more than 150 years now. But understand this for what it is. Don't just accept these trite answers from these people. Pin them down. Why don't you amend the Constitution instead of ignore it? These are valid questions to ask. These are questions responsible people ask, adults ask. And of course, these people are trying to get you to be anything but responsible adults. They're trying to get you to be emotional children and react in that manner. Resist that. Be rational. Be reasonable. Don't submit to their games. So, it's the Keith Noble Show, brought to you by the Auto Chicks and Nobles Financial Network. And we'll see you tomorrow.